Welcome to Brain Software, episode 89 with Mike Mandel, and I'm Chris Thompson.
That's him.
There's a storm raging worldwide. It's sweeping away useless techniques and helping everyone lead a more awesome life.
Like ours.
Please welcome the eye of the storm, the brain behind the software, and the right hand of usefulness behind all of the stupid jokes. The man for whom every podcast is his finest comedic work, Mike Mandel.
Chris, this is a great one today because it's special guest day.
Yeah, so we've talked in the past about how we are going to ramp up our introduction of guests on this podcast to all of you, people who we think are awesome hypnosis trainers, or possibly other guests who aren't hypnosis trainers, but we did.
People have got something of value to offer to us.
So we did bring Jason Linett on a couple of podcasts ago. It was a fantastic episode that a lot of people gave us some excellent comments on. And today we're bringing on another guest who is a really good friend of ours. He was a member of our bowling team in Las Vegas, even though he didn't show up because he missed his flight. But we forgive him.
2 pens tapping.
All right. Okay. Wonderful. So our guest today, who we're about to bring on, is none other than, fighting out of Nashville, Tennessee.
Yes, where else?
Steve Roehm. Now, what do you want to say about Steve?
Well, Steve is an absolutely fantastic trainer. We had met him a few years ago at Hypnothoughts Live, our very first Hypnothoughts Live 3 years ago. And we sort of saw him in the hall. That was it. Then last year, we kind of said hi, and he came out to one of my sessions, and I wanted to go to his, but couldn't with our timing of other stuff. And then this last year, I finally got to see him present and was just blown away by it. I call it his laid-back intensity. The guy's freaking amazing.
Oh, yeah. There are very few people, hypnosis trainers, etc., who can present the way that he does, with the quality that he does, with, as he will admit to you on this podcast, very little preparation. This comes straight from the heart, straight from his schema, straight from his personal experience, and he's got some excellent stuff to share with all of you today. So we're going to cut over to that interview.
Without further ado, let's bring the man
and then, after, we'll come back. So, welcome, Steve.
Well, thanks, guys. That is hilarious. Intensely laid back. I literally laughed out loud when I read that.
Yeah, so Hypnothoughts has just been such a fantastic event for us to attend 3 years now in a row, and we have no plans on leaving it until Scott and Richard kick us out.
Right.
And we've just really enjoyed meeting new friends and establishing new bridges and realizing that there's so much value to be brought over to our podcast. There's a sense here where Mike and I have done most of these as the Mike and Chris show, Chris and Mike show, Chris and Jeff show, as we
Chris
call
and
it.
Jeff show, yeah.
And it's now time, I think, to bring on more hypnosis trainers, more guests. And we had Jason on a couple of podcasts ago.
And we had James Hazelrigg on, yeah. But it's your day today. So, Steve, tell us about yourself, buddy.
Wow, about me. Well, that's a big question.
Yeah, I want to hear how you got into hypnosis and everything.
I don't know. What do you want to know? I mean, I grew up in Kentucky. Hypnosis found me about 18 years ago.
How did hypnosis find you? That's interesting.
That's probably around the same time as it found me.
Yeah, I was. I found out I had a baby on the way. A little over 18 years ago, and I was not in a good place in my life. I was not taking care of myself. In fact, I was very abusive to myself in a lot of different ways, and realized that I had to make some changes in my life, and used hypnosis to quit smoking.
Oh, excellent.
And I thought it was a bunch of BS. I thought this stuff's never going to work on me. And, sure enough, I walked out of this guy's house and I never smoked another cigarette again. And
wow.
The whole process just blew my mind. And I just wanted to know what the hell had happened.
And that was it. It was just the interest. Like, this has worked for me. This is amazing. I need to find out more about this.
Yeah. Well, I got hypnotized by a redneck in Murray, Kentucky. So I figured if he could do it, I could do it.
Oh, that's hilarious. Now, see, before you go into more on that, I'm really curious. When you say that you didn't even think this stuff would work, I assume, though, you must have massively been at threshold, ready to change, and it didn't matter whether you believed it would work or not. You really wanted to quit, right?
And knowing that now, yes. There was a huge drive for that. I mean, you could have slapped me across the face that day and I would have quit smoking. I was already in that trance and ready to go and make that shift. So, it was, but whatever he did during that time was enough to transition and move me into that change. And that's what really intrigued me.
That's interesting, Steve, because the whole thing about threshold, one of our students online posted the other day and said something like, Why is it that women who discover they're pregnant, they're going to have a baby, they can stop smoking immediately? Yeah. And then 9 months later, the baby's born, and some of them go right back to it again.
Some of them do.
Yeah. It was a reverse threshold or something, you know?
Yeah, well, there's they have a drive at that point. It's not about them anymore. You know?
Yeah.
That's there's something, especially the maternal instinct kicks in, and you know the thing is, cigarettes aren't addictive anyway. That's a bunch of BS. So. You know, so when they come to that realization that there is something more important than them destroying themselves, then it's not difficult for them to walk away from them. For some people,
right.
But too.
Is that something that's true? And we say when I was a therapist, I used to say you can't fix stupid. You know,
exactly.
You really can't.
Exactly.
Is smoking cessation something you work with a lot?
About 4,000 people so far.
Wow, that's more than anybody I know. I mean, by a long shot.
Well, so that means if you were charging enough, you'd just be a multi-millionaire right now.
Yeah.
If I was charging in the beginning what I charge now, I would have been much better off. But you know, in the beginning, I was just learning how to. I was trying to get my chops. You know,
right.
You know, just trying to figure my way and putting things together and trial and error until I finally came up with a protocol that I use now. And it's hugely effective, but it took, you know, it took me 1,000 people to finally get it to the point where I'm like, okay, I like this. I'm still going to tweak this from here, but I really like this process.
I'd love to dig more into that in the podcast. Before we do, though, I'd love to hear more about, so you went through the smoking cessation protocol from this other guy in Kentucky. You quit as a result of that very successfully. That got you curious to the point where you said, I have to learn this. If he can do it, I can do it. So how did you get into learning hypnosis?
Initially, it was just a curiosity. You know, I wasn't seeking any information. I wasn't looking for it. But I was walking across Murray State University's campus, which is, it's a little bitty university. Was walking with a friend of mine. The library was having a book sale. I had no intention of going to this book sale. Didn't even know it was going on. But I walked over, and there was a book that I was really drawn to, and it was called, if I remember correctly, Hypnosis and Suggestion in Psychotherapy. And I took that book because I'm like, all right, well, you know, I've been looking for something like this anyway. I'm like, thanks.
Perfect.
And started to understand some things about us and the way our mind works, and realizing that we're all in hypnosis anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it happens all the time. So, you know, I was trying to figure out ways to utilize it, and ended up ordering a video cassette course from a school in California. And I don't know if I can mention that on here or not.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
It was from Hypnosis Motivation Institute.
Okay. Yeah. I've heard of them.
Yep.
Yeah. It was enough to get me started.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I watched it was 6 video cassettes. I watched those things every free minute I had.
Yeah.
And for about a month.
You were really, you were, what's the method you call it for learning, Mike?
Saturation.
The saturation.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I was doing. But I wasn't practicing. I was just absorbing.
You were becoming intellectually knowledgeable on the topic without the practical experience at that point, right?
Yeah, which really wasn't, it was okay. But I was hanging out with a friend of mine one night, and we were just having a beer. And we were talking, and I asked her if she'd ever been hypnotized, and she said no, but I've always been kind of intrigued by it. And I said, really? And she looked at me, she said, what are you doing? And she knew me.
And the next sound out of her mouth was, whoa.
Yeah. I said, well, look, I've been studying this stuff. I've been playing around with it. I'm kind of curious, would you be my first subject? Which, if you're becoming a hypnotist, don't ever ask anybody that.
Yeah. Certainly not revealing they're the first
really
subject.
Good point. Yeah.
I have no idea what I'm doing. Can I have control of your mind for a while? But she did, and we got a little arm levitation, which blew my mind. It blew her mind. Everybody's minds was blown here. And at that point, it was on. If you were going to slow down long enough to sit in front of me, then I was going to put you into hypnosis.
Nice.
I was hypnotizing everybody I could find.
That's awesome.
And it's funny when the bug bites. Yeah,
I'm curious to hear you talk a little bit more about this, because that transition from being intellectually knowledgeable, from saturating yourself
to actually skilled,
to doing it and having that inner confidence, that knowledge, I can do this. Describe that a little bit more.
A hell of a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. It's a good teacher, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the best. It's the only.
Yeah, I teach my kids that all the time. Just screw up a lot.
Yeah.
It's really the only way to learn this work. I mean, you can come in, you can go to your training, you can come to my training, you can go to Igor's training, go to whoever's training. But until you start to put those things into practice and start to recognize the nuances and the things you need to be aware of, then it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting point. It made me think all trainers will train you on what they believe works. But you are the only one who can discover how you can screw up and how not to do that anymore.
Right. Yeah. John Grinder said, give yourself permission to fail spectacularly. I love it.
Regularly.
but not eternally.
Oh, well, I don't know. I think,
but not on the same thing. Not the same thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's important to keep that open though, and allow yourself to mistakes and learn from them as you grow. But really, that's how it happened. I was just it was trial and error, and I would see what would work and what didn't work, and I'd get frustrated. I'd go back and say, okay, what didn't I do, and what did I do, and how can I change that, and what can I do differently next time, and go read another book, and and then I just started. Actually, what happened was back in 2005, I ran into our mutual friend Igor.
Yep.
And started studying the conversational work, which was kind of what I was really intrigued about anyway, because I've been reading some of the Ericksonian stuff. I wasn't interested in doing the rapid inductions. That really wasn't my thing. I love the conversational side.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's much more laid back and relaxing.
Exactly. And of course that's the way I roll. So it's I like watching people make a shift in their life without realizing they already have.
Isn't that the best? That you're sitting next to somebody on a plane and their life transforms, and they don't even know it was you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Makes it harder to get paid. So now I want to just back up to it. A key point here, though, for those people listening, especially those people interested in hypnosis who have never done, let's say, live training. Pay attention to what Steve just said. He started with curiosity, bought some video cassettes, watched them over and over, and then just started doing this stuff. He made a lot of mistakes, but got really good. And at this point, Steve, you haven't even taken any live training, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
Right.
Just trying to figure out this. And I didn't have YouTube. It didn't even exist back then.
So the opportunities to learn now are fundamentally better, even if you have no money. And
you could go to YouTube and watch any of our videos and learn more than I could possibly learn by, reading the books that I was doing back then.
Yeah. So that's,
it was all, and I was scared as hell. Mm-hmm. I think that's important for people who especially are starting out. It's okay. Be afraid.
Yeah.
Do it anyway.
Yeah.
What's
the worst that's going to happen, right?
Exactly. The person doesn't close their eyes. Oh no.
You're not going to go to prison or anything for that.
I think it was Melissa Tears's book on the anxiety toolkit, or what, I might be getting the name wrong, but something like the reframe that one client came up with was, the fear would be something like, what if I fail? And then the reframe was, so what if I fail? Just add the word so.
Exactly.
So what if I fail?
What if I fail?
What if I screw up? So what if I screw up? What if they don't like me? So what if they don't like me?
Well, Stephen, this is something I've said before, and the listeners will be probably familiar with it. When I started doing hypnosis as a kid and then progressed to stage hypnosis as the next step, I had a night in 1975 at Palmerston, Ontario, District High School, 400 people in the audience, 25 volunteers. We go for a hand clasp suggestibility test, and I had not yet determined what was window dressing and what was essential. And 25 people took their hands apart and just looked at me. And I like to say the rest of the evening is a horrifying blank. And I don't mess around there. But man, it would have been so easy to say, that's it. I'm never going to do this again, but thank God I kept with it.
Yeah, you would have gone back to being a Bell telephone operator.
Yeah, that would have been fantastic. Sucked, man.
Right. Oh, man. Exactly. Okay, so continue on the story, because at this point, you've studied with the HMI training, the cassettes. You met Steve, you're Steve. You met Igor in 2005.
I did meet me, yeah. No, actually, I hadn't even met Igor at that point yet. I was basically learning some scripts and some things. I never. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a problem with scripts, and anybody who's met me at Hypnothoughts knows that. I'm not a fan of reading to anybody. I don't.
We call it reading at someone.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I'm not a fan, so I never did that, even when I was working with people in the beginning.
Woohoo!
I was reading the scripts and I was learning metaphors, but I was never taking them with me into my sessions.
Right, you were using them as
training wheels,
training tools.
Yeah, well, it started out. A friend of mine asked me if I could help him quit smoking, and I said, "Hell, I don't know. Let's find out." And we did a session, and I think we did a couple sessions, but he quit smoking, and I thought, well, this is really pretty cool. I just helped him quit smoking. And, of course, he went out and told some friends of ours, and another mutual friend of ours came up and said, hey, man, I know you helped him quit smoking. Can you help me? I'm like, I don't know. Let's find out.
That's a
this
great
is fun.
answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he ended up quitting smoking.
So the bug had bitten. So this really is a great example of personal change in your life.
What's that?
It's a great example of personal change in your life that created a real interest in helping other people make that same change.
Yeah.
Well, it was the next person that actually started my business.
Okay.
Because it was a friend of that guy's, and I didn't know him.
Oh, cool.
So I charged him.
Yeah.
So all these people were friends, and then all of a sudden it's a friend of a friend. So now you have to pay.
I don't know you.
Yeah.
If I'm going to give you my time, then you're going to give me some of your money.
Yeah.
And I charged him like $20.
Oh, wow. Not a lot of leverage there, is there?
But it still worked. Yeah.
But it was. I think it really set an important precedent for me. Because now there was an exchange for value for money for what I was doing, and it was actually that created a whole new shift in me. Mm-hmm. And then I realized that this could actually become something that could be really profitable for me in the end.
Now, it's interesting that you started with smoking cessation too, which is
accidental.
Accidental, but it's just incredible because that's one of the things that so many hypnotists. You ask the average person, "What do you do?" I'm a hypnotist. Can you help me quit smoking? And I would say, "No, but I can get you up to 4 packs a day if you're a non-smoker," But the people typically think that they connect hypnosis and smoking cessation all the time in the zeitgeist. Yeah. But so many hypnotists are not skilled with it, and they don't like doing it because they don't have a good protocol, a good way of approaching it. And you just jumped right in and went for one of the tougher things.
I didn't know that.
And that's good. Good that you didn't know.
Yeah,
idea.
That reminds me of a lot of the stories Mike's told where, if you don't know the rules, then it's easier to break them.
Exactly. If somebody had told me that was hard, I probably wouldn't have gone for it.
Right. You didn't know what the limits, the supposed limits were.
Yeah, I was just curious. I wanted to know what was going to come from it. And that's really what's driven my entire career is curiosity. It's just wanting to know what's going to happen with something. What if I say this? What if I do this?
What if? Nice. So without giving away too much stuff, we want you to keep your own proprietary methods. What can you tell us about the method you've decided on that's been so incredibly successful for you?
Well, I'm happy to teach it. In fact, I am teaching it in a few weeks here in Nashville.
Nice.
I tell you, it starts with a phone call.
Okay.
And I'm screening my clients on the phone before they ever come in. I have an hour-long pre-talk with them. And Mike, that everything happens in the pre-talk.
Oh, for sure. That gets them on top of the wall, then we can just push them off. Yeah.
The session itself is just to tighten everything up and set them home. But I'm getting about 95% success on one session.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible.
So, like I said, it took me 1,000 people to get to that.
You're an overnight sensation.
Now, the hour intake that you do that's via phone, right?
No, I do it video. All my work now is via Zoom.
Sorry, I meant when I said phone, I really meant just not in person.
Well, that's not what you meant, Chris.
Yeah,
That's what you said. That's what you said.
So you do it all
Fired
Zoom.
Again.
Zoom for those people who don't know, that's just a video conferencing type of
like
tool.
Skype.
Yeah, like Skype. And so, are you charging them for that first session, or is that the consultation?
Absolutely.
Okay,
that's great. Yeah, in fact, when somebody calls me to book a session, there's a $150 deposit to book the session.
Right.
And we've got a 48-hour cancellation policy too. So if they cancel, then they're out that money.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for serious people. I want people who know we're going to quit. I'm not looking for people I'm going to have to drag along. That's I hate that. Those are not happy clients. They're not happy clients for me. They don't make me happy, and it's just not the lifestyle I want. So I'm pretty picky about my clientele.
Okay, so what I was getting at is there is no free consultation or anything. It's if they're serious, they pay you. You do the first meeting online with them.
Yeah,
and then you do a session separately from that.
No, it all happens. It all happens in a 2-hour experience.
Oh wow, okay, got you. So it's all one big 2-hour-long Zoom session. You spend about an hour doing the pre-talk, and then you spend about another hour doing the session work itself.
30, 45 minutes, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. Okay, got you.
Yeah, like I said, most of it, when people call in, I'm screening them before they ever get to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Because especially for those, because I know a lot of the people who are going to be listening to this are people who are getting into the business. I'm very serious about my time. And I expect my clients to be respected. I respect their time. They should respect mine. If somebody buys a package and I miss a session, they get a free session in addition to what they had.
Right. Okay.
If they miss a session, then they lose a session. That's just, it's just the way it works.
Yeah, makes sense.
But the people who I work with, I know are serious about change. I know that they're looking for something better in their life, and they're willing to do whatever it is to make that change happen.
Perfect. Talk a little bit more about that, because our audience in the Brain Software podcast isn't purely hypnotists. In fact, I would say most of the audience is probably people who found us through searching on self-improvement or NLP or hypnosis, and they just generally like the idea that we pitch on this podcast, which is tools to help you live a more awesome, empowered life. When you say that you're already screening them, help some of the audience, the listeners here, understand what makes it obvious to you that somebody is ready to change.
Well, they're excited about it. They're ready to go. They've got good reasons behind it. The reasons for change are based on good values. Mm-hmm. They have typically they have a pretty good outcome already set in their mind of what they're looking for.
Yeah.
There's very little hesitation in their voice.
Mm-hmm. So you're really looking for congruency from them.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm looking for people I want to work with.
Nice.
Because back when I started out, man, I was taking anybody who would pick up the phone and call me, and it was good practice, but I wasn't serving all of them very well. Mm-hmm. I was making a lot of mistakes along the way because they weren't ready, and when they came in, they were expecting me to do something for them.
Yeah, you're the guy who waves the magic wand, and their problems disappear. Yeah,
and it's a co-creation process. If the client isn't involved, if those of you who are listening, if you want to go see a hypnotherapist, make sure you know what you want to do before you call them up. And make sure you're ready to make some change in your life. Don't go in with just, I kind of need to do this. Maybe this guy can help me do it.
Yeah, or my wife wants me to change.
Oh, no, those people get fired on the spot.
Oh, nice. Can you deal with my husband? He wants to quit smoking. Okay, have him call me then, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I do no third-party interventions. Over the years, I've been asked to intervene in the last many, many years. And my wife and I were doing the math, and we said every single time a third party said, please talk to so-and-so, he'll listen to you. If you just, and my success rate is 0. 100% failure when someone's, no threshold at all.
Yeah. Steve, I want to tell you about, this happened about a year ago. A fellow in town, he heard I was a hypnotist, and he said, tell me about this hypnotism thing. So I told him about it. He said, can you help me quit smoking? And I said, well, that depends. Why do you want to quit? He told me, well, I've got a new truck coming, and I don't want to smoke in it. That was his reason. How long do you think he stayed a non-smoker? I didn't help him. I refused to because I just didn't think it was a good enough reason. But he's back to smoking. So I got good training from Mike and other hypnosis trainers that I've learned from over the last couple of decades, it seems. And I remember learning that you need to have the right reasons. The reasons really need to involve you, values, like you said. I value my health. I want to be around for my kids, whatever it is. I don't want to make my kids sick by smoking in front of them, all that kind of stuff. And this guy's reason was he didn't want his truck to stink. I just thought, okay,
it's not real high on the list, is it?
Yeah. No, I don't know. If he was excited about it enough, I might still take his money.
Yeah. So what are some of the worst reasons you've heard where you've turned people down and said, look, I just don't think this is a good fit?
Well, let's see. My wife wants me to do it. I need to do it. Yeah. Even I have to quit because of my health. Mm-hmm. That's not a good reason either. Because typically those people have shown up out of desperation. They've spent years of abusing themselves, and they show up and now they've got cancer and they have to quit smoking.
Yeah.
And, they're going to be really hard.
And cancer cures smoking every time.
Yeah, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when people come in with those reasons, they're going to be difficult to work with. If that's the only reason they're doing it, just because of their health.
Yeah.
Because I have to quit smoking today, or because I have to quit smoking for this surgery. Well, it may last for a week.
Whereas the life changes that, for example, your story.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a dad.
Yeah.
Fundamentally, your your personality has changed. Your
whole identity, your whole self-identity.
Yeah, your level of identity is changing now. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to be the best dad I could be. I didn't want to just be a father, because any biological male can do that. I wanted to be somebody my daughter could look up to.
Yeah.
And I was not that person in any way 18 years.
Now, is your daughter into hypnosis at all?
No, she's been hypnotized one time.
But the bug never bit her the same way.
No, she doesn't live with me. She lives with her mom. They live in New Orleans, or in Baton Rouge, I'm sorry. So, I see her during summers and Christmas and stuff like that, but she hasn't really gotten drawn into it. I've encouraged her to come to my trainings, because I would love for her to actually see what I do, because nobody in my family knows what I do.
Yeah.
Well, you're a hypnotist, Steve. You're just weird, right? Yeah.
They think I've got a pocket watch and I swing it, and everybody's happy in the end.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a lot more to it than that, and a long time, a lot of research and study, and sweat and blood and tears and all that goes into it. You guys know that. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Hey, listen, I thought it might be, I just said, hey, listen. It's a bad word whisker that I get on. Hey, listen. So I was thinking that we should shift gears towards the topic that you presented at Hypnothoughts, because that's just such an important one. Now, I'll quickly introduce that you spoke about a lot of therapists that tend not to take care of themselves, and you gave a really fantastic presentation.
It was a tremendous talk,
messages. Yeah. And I think it's important to reframe it that way, because people who are listening here, some of them are hypnotists, therapists, psychologists, doctors, etc. Some of them are just employees at corporations, or fathers, or sons, or
they're all
whatever.
people.
They're all people, and we all still have to take care of ourselves. So what are some of the key points? Maybe, obviously, we don't have time to have you go through the entire
a couple of takeaways that
but there was so many important nuggets. I want to give you a chance, a platform to just talk about that stuff and how you can help, and pitch your own services anytime you like here.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, anybody who wants to work with me, you can work with me anytime. Obviously, I work with Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you are as long as you got Wi-Fi. But I'll give websites later. But what I was talking about at Hypnothoughts is something that really kind of hit me pretty hard a few years ago, because there were a couple of hypnotists here in Nashville who were really overweight. Mm-hmm. And it seemed so incongruent to me that we have these amazing tools as hypnotists and hypnotherapists that we use to help other people change their lives all the time, but people don't use them enough to take care of themselves.
Yeah, we leave ourselves broken.
Physician, heal thyself. Yeah.
Well, exactly. At the end of the day, and I'm like this as well, at the end of the day, after I've seen, typically I see clients 3 days a week, but at the end of the day, I've worked from 10 to 6. And by the end of the day, man, I'm done. I'm cooked. I don't want to have to think about, going to the gym or, doing other things like that either. I get it, especially people who have families. I live by myself, so I just have myself to take care of, and, going out and taking care of friends and doing stuff like that. But for the most part, I've got a lot of freedom in my life that other people don't have. And there's a way that people can start to incorporate this stuff into their lives, which I think is the real key to this. This is what I wanted everybody to take away from that talk, was that you can incorporate exercise, you can incorporate self-hypnosis and meditation throughout your day. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be, I've got to go spend 45 minutes in the gym, which means I've got to go drive 20 minutes to get there, change clothes. It's going to be an hour there, turn around, come back. So there's 2 hours to go to the gym. You don't have to spend 2 hours going to the gym. Mm-hmm. You can do exercise throughout the day. It's what I do here, because I work out of my home now primarily, unless I'm traveling. But between sessions, I'll do some push-ups. I'll do some sit-ups.
Just redeeming those few available minutes when you can.
Yeah. Those wasted moments when people are sitting around staring at Facebook you know, and wondering, why am I getting so fat? Look, my friends are fat too. It's okay. No, take those few minutes and do something with them that, you know, when you look back at the end of your day, you go, I actually did something with myself today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That reminds, go ahead. Okay. You reminded me of what you said at Hypnothoughts, which was something to the effect of you were grocery shopping and a lady saw what you were purchasing and said, oh man, I need you to do my grocery shopping. Exactly. And what is it that you said to her?
I said, no, you need to love yourself to take care of yourself enough to put good food in there.
Exactly. So it starts with you have to love yourself enough to take care of yourself. And if you don't love yourself enough, if you don't value yourself, you're not going to do anything to take care of yourself.
Now, this brings up a great point. And Steve, I'd like you to comment on this in line with everything you're currently discussing, which is great. What about the people who you run into who... And Chris and I have a very good friend, and this is classic for him. There's total agreement. It's necessary. Yeah, I've got to hear. But it's always a yet future event.
Yeah, next year, Mike.
Next year. No,
in the new year, Mike.
And it's never, I'm going to do this. It's, I have to do this. And he used to say, keep telling me. I need you to keep telling me. You know, you don't need me to keep telling you. You need to take action. You know, what about the people who just always, it's always 5 days in the future what they're going to do. It never becomes now.
I would, first off, I would try and find out what their values are and what the hierarchy is and how those are arranged, because whatever they're doing, their values are completely out of line.
Right.
They're approaching something that doesn't have enough value for them to actually take action on, so they don't. They don't feel like it's going to serve them well enough, or it's not going to benefit them in some way, or not doing it is going to benefit them in some way. What do I tell them? Yeah, get off your ass.
Yeah.
You know, make up your mind. If that's not what you want to do, then stop saying you're going to do it and just don't do it.
Be honest with yourself.
If you want to do something, exactly. And it's important, you know, because one of the things that I do for myself, and I talked about this in the thing as well, is meditate every day.
Yes, you've meditated every day for a long time now, right?
Well, I've meditated every day for a couple of years now.
That's a long time.
I've done self-hypnosis every day for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a difference.
And you pointed out in Vegas that doing self-hypnosis or doing meditation or doing exercise doesn't mean that you have to go stupid crazy day one. Right. I think you said something to the effect of, don't go work out for 2 hours, be sore for 2 weeks, and then you'll quit, you'll give up, you'll never do it again. Yeah, and don't think that you're going to start self-hypnosis or meditation and do an hour a day from the day one. It won't happen. And I thought that was such a valuable point.
Yes, it is.
So how do you get people started on this?
Well, see, I think one other thing I say is you can meditate for 2 seconds, 900 times a day, and get your full 30 minutes in.
And you also said, Steve, remember, it's true. You said something about, and some of our students have taken this up now, having heard you speak. They've taken up the challenge, the whole thing about sort of journaling, what you're doing. Celebration journal.
Right? Yeah, well, that's where I was going to get to that here in a second, too, because that's the most important part of my day.
Okay, talk about it.
Yeah, well, I do the meditation in the morning, and I do that before I turn the screens on, okay? Before I turn on the phone, before I turn on the iPad, before I turn on the computer. I don't watch TV, so that screen doesn't get turned on. But I take that time to myself to center myself before I open up everything else, and because what happens with most people is they become reactive as soon as they open anything up.
Oh, totally. Okay. I agree with you 100% there.
Yeah, there's this reaction. I have to answer this email. I have to take care of this text message. I have to go take care of this. I have to do this. Have to do this. My day starts out in serenity because I start out just focusing on my breathing.
Nice.
And then I can move on to, okay, now I can open up the email instead of reacting to whatever is there. I can respond to it from a place of calm.
A place of calm and resourcefulness.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I hear you on that, buddy. It's, for me, it's the cup of strong English tea, being a Brit, that gives me the strength because I wake up with only 2 brain cells firing, one running my heart, one running my lungs. And that gives me the strength to make coffee. And then I sit there with a cup of coffee looking out the back window, just quietly swearing for half an hour. And every day it's like that.
Yeah. Oh, you're exaggerating. You used to be like that.
I used to be like that. I'm not at all now.
In fact, no. Mike and I, actually, this is something we should talk about briefly. The idea that educating yourself arms you with the resources, the knowledge to then have the resources to make the changes, right?
Yeah.
You can't implement what you don't know. If you're ignorant on a topic, you're basically helpless in the jungle kind of thing. So you have to arm yourself with the correct information on how you could exercise, how you could eat healthy if you were to, the as-if frame, right? If I was going to do this, how would I do it? Well, I would have to learn X or Y or Z or whatever it is, so that, as Mike and I have both done over the last, say,
few years.
4 years or so, we've learned a ton. I have personally invested thousands of hours in learning about diet and exercise and metabolism and biochemistry
and all the. Now back it up for a second, because we sort of took it off track. But continue with the celebration journal thing.
Oh, yes.
That's so crucial.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's the last thing I do during the day. It's now I do self-hypnosis as well. I do it at lunch and do it in the evening for about 10 minutes. And for practitioners, that's really just to clear things out, so I don't carry my clients' stuff with me throughout the day. The last thing I do, the last two things that I do, I read. I turn off all the screens again before I go to sleep, because they're not going to serve my mind well when I'm sleeping.
Right.
So I shut all the screens off, and I'll pick up a book. And like right now, I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita. But at night I'm not reading fluff. I'm reading things that have deeper meaning to them. I might pick up the Bible. I might pick up the Quran and read a passage in it. I might pick up the Torah. I might pick up the Tao Te Ching, the Upanishads, the Rig Veda. There's all kinds of books that are out there, but I'm not just throwing stuff in my mind. I'm putting things in there that are going to keep my mind moving throughout the night
in a good place, in
a good place, and thinking about those things and contemplating them. And then the last thing I do before I go to sleep, and again, this is my favorite part of the day, is I've got this little book, and in this book, I write down at least 5 things that I celebrate from the day. Now, these are not things that I'm grateful for. These are things that I've actually taken action on in some way.
Right.
So these are things where you're saying to yourself, yes, I did X.
Well, it may not be that excited, but
something of quality.
Because like one of the things in my books last night, literally, I finished my laundry last night right before I went to bed. Last thing I wrote, I got my laundry folded tonight.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Because it makes
clothes.
What's that?
I can wake up to clean clothes.
Well, because that action made my life easier, and making my life easier makes what I do easier, which makes the work easier, which makes everything easier in the world for me.
Right.
And the things that I'm writing down are things that I've celebrated from the day. Like tonight, I'll write down. Today, I had a podcast with Chris and Mike, and it was amazing because I got to share some of the knowledge that I have.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll write down. Yeah. I had a session this morning with a lovely young woman who goes to Vanderbilt. I'm helping her through some anxiety. That's great. This afternoon, I've got 2 smokers today that I'm going to finish up with this afternoon. So was that 5 right there? Or is that 4? I don't know.
I lost track too,
I don't know, but they're all good.
I love it. Yeah, some things are just simple. I did my laundry.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be much.
I replenished the vegetables in my fridge or whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. People, when I would tell people this, they would come back to me and go, well, I didn't have that many things to celebrate. Well, yeah, you do. You're just thinking about big things. Think about the little things. Think about the small things. Think about the things in your life. Opening a door for somebody.
Yeah.
Making their day better.
The cumulative effect.
Letting somebody over in traffic. It could be really simple things that you can do that puts more positive experience out in the world, more positive energy out in the world.
And the fact that you're focusing to recognize them.
That's what
your focus is changing so much that you're looking for these things instead of the people, look at the crap every day.
You're essentially training yourself to recognize successes, even if they're just small ones.
Yeah.
Exactly, because most people go to bed, they lay down, they think about all the crap they didn't get done for the day and all the crap they have to do tomorrow, and got to get up in the morning, got to deal with the kids, got to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it's day to day to day to day to day, and they get caught up in that record player, and it doesn't change.
It's just disempowering.
Well, it's really life destroying.
And you really get people then who are stuck at, the logical level of just environment. Life is now happening to them. Yeah, they have no sense of causation at all.
Then they just allow it, and then
Steve, this is just absolutely fantastic stuff. These takeaways.
I feel like we have to bring him on again.
I definitely
bring you on again, talking to you, not to Mike directly here.
Thanks, Chris. My question is, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, there's a few different ways. You could, depending on if you're looking for hypnosis training, you can go to traininghypnosis.com.
Traininghypnosis.com, folks.
We'll put the link on the website.
And then what if they want to work with you directly?
If you want to work with me directly, you can go to steveroehm.com. It's Steve, and the last name is ROEHM.com. And also NashvilleHypnosis.com.
Oh, it's a nice, easy one, too. Excellent.
And they don't have to be in Nashville. They can be anywhere
in the world. It doesn't matter where you are. And you can search me. I'm all over YouTube and Facebook.
So you do a lot of work with smoking cessation, but it sounds like you do a whole lot more.
Sounds like you do a heck of a lot more than that, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I probably do as much anxiety now as I do smoking. It's really kind of crazy how many people are dealing with anxiety now. I don't know.
So common, isn't it? Yeah.
And smokers who are anxious.
Many times, they are. Right. And I work with a lot of weight as well. Those are probably the three biggest things. But I work with golfers. I've got a couple of the Titans that I work with. I work with some of the Preds before the Stanley Cup.
Nice.
If whatever, I work with everybody for.
Well, just come up to Toronto and work with the Maple Leafs, and I'll be happy. They've been trying since 1967.
We almost got it, man. We were so freaking close.
Yeah.
One bad ref call is really what it came down to. We would have won that game, but anyway.
Now, Steve, you said you're teaching a smoking cessation protocol class coming up. Is there? I don't know if we will get this podcast on the air in time for you to promo that, but what are the dates of that class, and how can people find out more about that class or future ones if they happen to miss this coming up one?
Well, I've actually got two courses coming up. I'm teaching conversational hypnosis or hypnotherapy training, which is a 6-day foundation course, and that's coming up October 9th through the 14th. And then the My Stop Smoking protocol is going to be immediately after that. It's going to start on the 16th and go through the 19th.
Excellent. We should have this on there for that.
Yep, for sure, man.
Now, if anybody catches this after that, though, next year my Stop Smoking protocol is going to change because I'm going to be offering a bigger course that's going to be covering smoking and weight. Because anybody who's going into hypnotherapy, especially if you're in the States, that's your moneymakers right there.
Yeah.
And but you can go to masterhypnosistraining.com and find out some more information about that.
Masterhypnosistraining.com.
I've got websites everywhere, man.
Excellent.
Now, I just want to make sure I got it correct. It was master, not mastery. Masterhypnosistraining.com.
Masterhypnosistraining.com.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you, Steve, for being on podcast 88 of Brain Software with Mike Mandel.
And we're hoping to bring him to Toronto soon.
We'd love to bring you to
train live with this man.
We'd love to bring you back on the podcast, talk more about some of these protocols, more about some of the change work that you're doing, and more about some of the personal development work that you do, whether it be self-hypnosis, meditation, whether it be treating yourself effectively with exercise, etc. This has been a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thanks,
Make sure you are checking out all of his websites for the appropriate personal work or hypnosis training.
We want to thank Steve Roehm from Nashville, Tennessee for being our very special guest today, and we'll be having more guests like him in the future.
He was awesome. So before we wrap up, I want to make sure that I mention to all of you that we are just a few weeks away from attending the UK Hypnosis Convention in London and then doing a 2-day masterclass in Suffolk in the UK, hosted by Carl Smith. So for details on the 2-day class that we are delivering, head on over to MikeMandelHypnosis.com/UK. Now, Mike, tell everyone a little bit about what they're going to be getting there.
Well, yeah, this masterclass, don't let the title put you off. If you've done some hypnosis training with any organization,
you're just not a complete beginner.
And if you're a hypnosis trainer, you'll find this useful too. We're doing 2 days. The first day will be Mandel on hypnosis. We'll just be covering all kinds of interesting things, upping the bar for you, getting your questions answered. Thank God I have a knack for filling holes in people's technique and intuitively seeing how you can fix it. So a lot of people have developed poor technique over time. Anyway, that's the first day. And day 2 is entirely mindscaping. It is a certification course, and we'll show you how to use this remarkable new therapy that's being used by psychologists, pain management specialists, coaches, social workers, therapists, hypnotists all over the world. And you can aim mindscaping at anything from something as small as that meeting you have tomorrow morning to something as huge as your health. And and it's a startling technique and very, very easy to use. And like I said, it will be a certification training.
Right. So you will also be getting a digital copy of our Mindscaping training as a free bonus. That's a $197 value as it's sold on our website every day. You get that included in your tuition. So make sure you visit MikeMandelHypnosis.com/UK. And there you'll get the details on our November 6th and 7th training. And in addition, if you want to go and visit that same URL, MikeMandelHypnosis.com/UK, you'll see a link to the information about the UK Hypnosis Convention in London, which is the weekend before. So those are two awesome events that we're going to be at in just a few weeks. So make sure you check them
there. And Chris, over to you for today's empowering metaphor.
All right, empowering metaphor. Here is today's empowering metaphor. What is your life a metaphor for? And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hutsit Rawsit Honorilla Raw and a Brawler Suet. Hutsit Rawsit Honorilla Raw and a Brawler Suet. Hutsit Rawsit Honorilla Raw and a Brawler Shizjig. Hutsit Raw Shizjig Corporation.
Thank you to the Shizjig Corporation.